ordinateur, oui, et puis après, voilà, c'est tout. Puis il y a les caméras.
Fais juste pause pour l'enregistrement, comme ça on n'a pas.
Là, ça enregistre. On va faire de cluster. 14, 15, on est pile poil à la jauge. Je ne comprends rien avec ton masque, laisse tomber. Ne parle pas, c'est ça.
Garde ton masque, laisse tomber, c'est là.
Fais attention à ce que tu dis. Ah, mais tu sais, il va faire du montage. Il va faire des interventions comme ça.
Parce que c'est enregistré.
Ouais,
Vous avez lancé l'enregistrement.
T'as
lancé l'enregistrement.
Oui, j'ai lancé. Ils sont capables de faire un montage.
Le montage des paires.
Okay. So the second course on cat spaces is given by the true professor Philippe Castillon. I was just here to back up, but now it's going to be good mathematics by Philippe Castillon from the University of Montpellier. Please, Philippe.
Okay, thank you, Gérard.
Ça a coupé la vidéo. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So yesterday, Gérard introduced all the basic machinery for geodesic metric spaces, and today I will just begin with the very definition of Kafka spaces, which will be the object of main interest in all the course. So
Non, c'est pas toi, c'est la connexion là. C'est la connexion de la vidéo. So yesterday I used, instead of K, I used kappa, but it's okay. I mean,
yes, but my kappa are like K, and I decided to avoid the kappa.
So from you don't like K. Greek letters, right?
Some of them, yes. Okay, so to define these properties, first need to define the property for triangles. So so in all this story, XD is a geodetic space. And when considering a triangle delta in X, I can compare it with some comparison triangle delta bar in, so I fix some K in R. So it is in the sphere hyperbolic space or Euclidean space with the same length for the edges, like Gérard said yesterday. And I will compare some distance between point in delta and point in delta bar. So say I take 2 points X and Y on the edges of delta, and I'm looking at the comparison points in delta bar, so X bar and Y bar. Need to define what we call comparison points.
I did use this.
Okay. And I will say that delta has the cat K property. If so, for all X and Y in delta, the distance. So how did you note the distance? With a D or D? Okay. Sometimes I will note the distance with a 2 bar. This is the distance between X and Y. So I ask the distance between X and Y to be less than or equal to the distance between X bar and Y bar. Okay. So in some sense, I ask the triangle in X to be thinner than the triangle in the model space. Okay, and then I can give the definition of a Kafka space. So I say that XD is a Kafka space if all its triangles have the K property. Okay. If all its triangles, and when K is positive, there is always something that we have to care about, is that for the comparison triangle to exist, the perimeter of the triangle must be less than 2 dk. So of perimeter less than 2 dk. So this is only for positive K. So if all its triangles have the K property. So this is for the K spaces. So it is a global property because we, for example, when K is non-positive, we have no restriction on the size of the triangle, and the triangle can encompass arbitrarily large regions. And then we have a local equivalent property, and this will be the notion of curvature bounded from above in the sense of Alexandrov. So we say that HC has curvature less than or equal to K. So this is one word, curvature less or equal to K, if it is locally K. So it just means that for all x in capital X, there exists some radius, positive radius R, such that the ball center X and radius R is a K space with the induced distance. Okay. And so I write it like that, but often we say that XD has curvature less than K in the sense of Alexandrov. So the purpose of the course is to see and to understand what are the consequences of these two properties. And the goal of Alexandrov was to have a notion of curvature which was not a differentiable notion. So this is the case. The notion of curvature bounded from above only depends on the distance, and you don't have to take any derivative of something. So we can look at this property for non-smooth spaces. So we will see that, in fact, in the case of Riemannian manifolds, it is coherent with the usual notion of sectional curvature bounded from above. And in fact, this morning, Thomas, in his course, proved one implication, and we will see this later. And the second goal of the course is to illustrate that, in fact, this notion, which only depends on the distance, captures a lot of properties that are common to Riemannian manifolds with sectional curvature bounded from above, and all these properties extend to non-smooth spaces. Okay, so today I will first consider two immediate consequences of the definition, and then I will give equivalent properties to being a K space, and these equivalent properties will be useful to investigate all these spaces. So some direct consequence. So this is a part of the course that Gerard had to do yesterday, and he didn't have time to. So yes, this is another sum. And so I'm between the note of Gerard and some old notes.
Choose yours. I mean, mine are not very good.
So the first one is that when you consider a geodesic space, there is no reason that between 2 points there is a unique geodesic. There may be plenty of them. But in case your geodesic space is a Kat-K space, then it is uniquely geodesics. So Kat-K spaces.
I didn't use the terminology uniquely geodesic.
Okay, but you will see that what I will prove, and this will be the definition of uniquely geodesic.
No, I know, but it's not for me.
Okay, yeah. But, I said it for everybody. So it just means that I take 2 points, x and y in x, and I assume that I have two geodesic between x and y. So I have a geodesic gamma and a geodesic sigma. So I have gamma and sigma from 0L to x are geodesics. And then I can choose to have some color choice.
Yeah, sure.
So we can choose some points here, gamma of t, and point at the same distance from x, so sigma of t. And so this point will be z. And I'm looking at this triangle, so from x to z, from z to y, and from x to y, right? And I'm looking at the comparison triangle. And because z is on a geodesic between x and y, what I get is that the distance between x and y is just equal to the distance between x and z plus the distance between z and y. And if I look at the comparison triangle, so I am into K, and so X bar, okay. So we take delta bar with vertices X bar, Y bar, and Z bar. And because it is a comparison triangle, I still have this inequality for the point in the model space. And because it is the equality case of the triangular inequality, I have a degenerated triangle. So you have X bar, this is Z bar, and this is Y bar. This triangle is degenerated. Okay, and now I can look at the comparison point of sigma of t. So let's set some r. And the comparison point of sigma of t is at distance t from x. So the comparison point must be at distance t from x bar. And so this gives you a comparison point r bar. Here you have a distance t. So with r bar equal to z bar. And then we just have to apply the Kat-K property, which gives that the distance between gamma of t and sigma of t is less than the distance of the comparison points. So z bar and r bar, and this must be 0. And therefore, gamma is equal to sigma. So you cannot have two different geodesics from x to y. And we say that Kat-K is uniquely geodesics. And I just forgot to consider the case where k is positive.
That was the question on the chat.
Yes, okay. And in case if k is positive, you have to assume for the perimeter to be less than twice dk, that the distance between x and y is less than dk. Okay. And if you have equality to dk, the result is false. Just take two antipodal points on the sphere, and you have plenty of geodesics from north pole to south pole. Okay, so the space are, in fact, there is a, in the books, there is a denomination is dk uniquely geodesic to put the fact that x and y have to be at distance less than dk. Okay, so this is the first evident property, and there is a second interesting property So did you make the difference between geodesics and local geodesics?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So the second property is that in a 4K space, local geodesics are in fact geodesics. So I still write it once. Of length less than decay are geodesics. Okay, so
excuse me, there was a question, why is the triangle degenerate? Somebody answered, but maybe you can make a comment.
Yes, the triangle is degenerated because the distance, we are in the equality case of the triangle inequality. If it were not degenerated, then we would have something like that, y bar and z bar. And in the case z bar is not an intermediate point between x bar and the geodesic between x bar and y bar, this implies that the distance of bar y bar is less than the distance x bar z bar plus distance z bar y bar, right? And we have equality. So the point z bar must be an intermediate point between x bar and y bar. Right. So why local geodesics are in fact geodesics? So I will take a local geodesic, say gamma, so from some 0L to X, so it's a local geodesic. Starting from X, which is gamma of 0. And I will consider just the set I of t such that the distance between x and gamma of t is equal to t, right? And what I would like to prove is that I is equal to 0L. And what is quite obvious, this is a continuous function of t, the distance to x and gamma of t, it's a continuous function of t. So this is a closed condition. So I is closed. We have that x belongs to y, so it is non-empty, and I just have to prove that it is open to get that I is equal to the whole interval. And to see that it is open, it's just a picture. So I take some t naught I. Because gamma is a local geodesic, I know that I have some t naught minus epsilon and t naught plus epsilon. And if I take 2 points between t naught minus epsilon and t naught plus epsilon, the distance is realized by this geodesic. So it is just the difference of the time of these 2 points. And so I have, we prove that t naught minus epsilon, t naught plus epsilon, in fact, is in 0L. So if I take a point before t naught, say here a point gamma of s, what I get is that here I have a distance which is t naught minus s, and if s is not in I, then this means that this geodesic between x and gamma of x is not minimizing, and so I have a geodesic which is different, right? But I know that here the length is equal to the length is equal to s. So here I have a length which is less than s, and then if I concatenate this curve with this one, I will have that we have a curve with length t0 plus t0 minus s plus something which is less than s. So I will get that the distance between x and t naught is less than t naught, which is not possible because I assume that t naught is equal in I, and so the distance must be equal to t naught, right? And just I can construct a shorter path and it is a contradiction with the fact that T naught belongs to I. So here I don't have to use any comparison triangle, but for S greater than T naught, I will have to. I will make another picture. So I have X, I have T naught plus epsilon, T naught minus epsilon. And then I take a point here, gamma of S, and I will take a geodesic between X and gamma of X. I know that it exists. And I will consider the triangle X, Y equal to gamma of X. And here what I have is gamma of T naught equal to Z. Okay, and I'm looking at the comparison triangle for X, Y, Z. And in the comparison triangle, so I will have X, Y, and Z. And in this comparison triangle, I can take two comparison points, and I will take one here, for example, P, and one here, for example, Q. And I have, so I will not with bar the comparison triangle. And so P is between Z and Y. So here I have P bar. And Q is between Z and X. So here I have Q bar. And then I will look at this small triangle. And in this small triangle, what I get is that the distance between Z bar and P bar is just the distance between Z and P. And the distance between Z bar and Q bar is the distance between Z and Q. But here I am on a geodesic because gamma is locally geodesic, and between T0 minus epsilon and T0 plus epsilon, it is a geodesic. So what I get once again is that the distance between P bar and Q bar is equal to the distance between P bar and Z bar plus the distance between Z bar and Q bar. Okay, just because these distances are just the same as the distance on gamma. And once again, I am in the equality case of the triangle inequality. And this implies that this angle here, the angle at Z, must be equal to pi. So the angle at Z between P bar and at Z bar between P bar and Q bar is equal to pi. And this implies that the triangle X bar, Z bar, Y bar must be degenerate. So X bar, Y bar, Z bar is degenerated. And therefore, we have that the distance between X bar and Y bar is equal to the distance between X bar and Z bar plus the distance between Z bar and Y bar. And if I look where this distance comes from, the distance between X bar and Y bar is the distance between X and gamma of S. And this distance between X bar and Z bar is just equal to T naught. And the distance between Z bar and Y bar is the distance between Z and Y is equal to S minus T naught. So this is S, and the distance and S belongs to I. Okay, so I is open. So the consequence, the very first consequence of the Katka property is that Katka spaces are uniquely geodesics, and the local geodesics are in fact global geodesics. So this gives you at least example of space that are not Katka spaces. And the very first example is you take Rn or just Rn with infinity norm, right? And if you look just in R2, for example, you take the point 0 and the point 1, and in vector spaces you have geodesics which are just the lines, so the affine subspace of dimension 1. So here you have a geodesic of length 1. And the fact is that you have another one, which is quite easy. Just take, for example, this one. And if you look at the infinity norm, so here the length 1 is here. If you look here at the infinity norm, you have length 1/2 here, and you have length 1/2 here. And so you have another path with length 1. So this one is not uniquely geodesic. It's not uniquely geodesic. And you can see with that you can do this with arbitrary small geodesic. So the constraint on the length of the geodesic doesn't matter here. So it is not KK for any K. Right? And if you want to see why this is true, in fact, this comes from the fact that the geodesic ball, the geodesic ball of Rn with this norm are not strictly convex. And you can see this because if you look at the unit ball here, it is -1, 1 cross -1, 1. And what I'm doing here now is, so it's a ball of radius 1, and I will picture two balls of radius 1/2. So this is one ball of radius 1/2. So this one should be greater. And here I'm taking another ball of center 1 and radius 1 and radius 1/2. And you can take any point on this part, which is precisely the locus where the boundary of the geodesic ball is flat. You can take any point here. It is at distance 1/2 from 0 and distance 1/2 from 1. And the fact that you have plenty of paths of length 1 come from the fact that you have common points, plenty of common points for the boundary of these two balls. And if the balls were strictly convex, this could not happen. If you take two strictly convex sets and you glue them, they glue only on one point, not on. Okay. So you can see it's quite easy to prove. If you take any norm vector space, it is uniquely geodesic if and only if unit ball is strictly convex.
But they are not 4K.
So we will see the condition for V to be 4K. And we need to have the notion of angle, good notion of angle too. So these are some basic consequences of these first properties. Right. So now I'm coming to my notes. I hope it will be.
So there is a question on the chat, always the same person. What do you mean by strictly convex?
Okay, so strictly convex, it's what I mean is that so B01 is strictly convex. This means that for any x, y in the boundary, so such that the norm of x equals the norm of y equal to 1, and for any t in 0, 1, without 0 and 1, the point, the interior point of the segment xy, that is the 1 minus tx plus ty, have a norm. So this is a norm which is less than 1. So this means that when you look at the unit ball, you have X, you have Y, and when you consider the segment, when T is not 0 and not 1, you have a point which is interior of the ball. It is not on the boundary. So now I'll give equivalent definitions of the Katka properties of Katka spaces. So equivalent formulations. And before giving the statement, I will have to make one observation, which is an easy lemma. I take the denomination. I like your denomination easy lemma. So I will label it easy lemma. And then another one, which is Alexandrov lemma, and which is quite easy also. So the easy lemma is the following. So if you take a hinge that is just two geodesic segments between point X. So I am in the model space K, and I take a hinge. So I have X, Y, and Z, and I'm looking at the angle alpha. So I am in M2K, so it is the Riemannian angle, the usual angle between these two geodesics. Then the distance between X and Z, and I will call it C of alpha. And I look at this distance as a function of alpha between Y and Z. This is an increasing function of alpha. Right? And the proof is very easy. Just the law of cosine. Right, you just write the distance with respect to, say, A and B. And here I have C of alpha. And the law of cosine gives you the C of alpha in terms of A and B, which are fixed, and alpha. And you have a minus cos. And the cosine is decreasing, so minus cos is increasing, and then C of alpha is increasing. So this is easy lemma. Okay. Yeah. There are some danger.
Here's a question. In what sense is C a function in the angle? What is the variable?
The variable is the angle, alpha. If you change alpha, then you change the opening of the,
And you
of
keep,
the hinge.
you keep the side of the hinge fixed.
Yes, the lengths A and B are fixed. Right? And just move the angle, and moving the angle, you move the distance between Y and Z. And
X is fixed.
X is fixed, but well, what is important, in fact, the distance doesn't depend on X. You can move your triangle anywhere in the space. And it only depends, the law of cosine tells that C of alpha only depends on A, B, and alpha. And once you have this function of A, B, and alpha, you can check that it is increasing with respect to alpha. So, Alexandrov lemma. So Alexandrov lemma will give us way to construct comparison triangle from something which is not a triangle but a quadrangle. So I'm taking A, B, C, D, the quadrangle in M2K. So once again, is something about the geometry of the model spaces. And I choose this such that A and C are separated. I will make a picture by the line, by the geodesic line. BD. Right. So I have something like that. A, B, C, and D, right? And what I would like to do is to flatten the angle here and to compare this with a triangle. I will name A tilde, B tilde, C tilde, and here I have some point D tilde. So with a triangle where I respect the distance, so AB and AB tilde have same length, the same for BC and B tilde C tilde, and the same for this one, and the same for this one, right? And in this setting, I have inequalities between the angles of the triangle and the angles of the quadrangle. So we label this angle. So here I have angle, say alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. And then here, alpha tilde, beta tilde, gamma tilde, and delta tilde is equal to pi. And the result is the following. If delta is greater than or equal to pi, then when I flatten this angle, what I have to do is to open more the all the other angles. So this is a gamma. So what I get is that alpha tilde is greater than or equal to alpha, beta tilde is greater than or equal to beta, gamma tilde is greater than or equal to gamma. And what I have to do also is to increase the distance between B and D. And so I have that the distance between beta tilde and D tilde is greater than the distance between B and D. And the other crucial information is that if I have equality in one of these four inequalities, if there is equality in one of the four inequalities, then there are inequalities in all. All of them, and delta is equal to pi. So this just means that the quadrangle was already a triangle with D on the geodesic line between A and C. Okay, and some things that I won't use, but you have the same statement with reverse inequalities in the case delta is less than pi. Delta is less than or equal to pi, same statement. With reverse inequality. And I forgot one thing. So if I want to construct this comparison triangle, I have that the perimeter should be less than twice dk. So I have to assume that the perimeter of the quadrangle is less than 2 dk. Okay, and so what is the construction here is with so not it, I just said it, but I think it's important to note it. So distance between AB is equal to the distance between A tilde and B tilde. Distance between B and C is equal to the distance between B tilde and C tilde. and the distance between A and D plus the distance between D and C is equal to the distance between A tilde and C tilde. Okay. So I will give the proof, and in the following, each time I will draw a picture like that, you have to think that I will use Alexandrov's lemma. Right, the question?
No, I'm just trying to follow you.
Okay. So the proof. So there is one which is very obvious, is the fact that beta tilde is greater than beta, and this is just a consequence of the triangle inequality. I have that dA, the distance between A and C, is less than the distance between A and D plus the distance between D and C, which is the distance between A tilde and C tilde, right?
Can I ask a favor? Could
Yeah.
you make a small drawing over there, the same one, so that I don't want us to go back and.
Right.
Sorry, because it's always.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So you can a smaller one, so you can discuss on this picture.
Okay. So A, B, C, D, and A tilde, B tilde, C tilde, and D tilde, right? So what I have is that the distance between A and C is less than the distance between A tilde and C tilde, and the lengths here are the same. So I'm precisely in the situation of the easy lemma, where I increase the distance, and the only way to increase the distance is to increase the angle, because the distance is an increasing function of the angle. So this implies that beta tilde, is greater than beta, right? And to get the comparison for alpha, I have to make some modification here. I will continue the line between A and D, and I will take C1, which is such that the distance between A and C1 is equal to the distance between A and D plus the distance between D and C. So I'm just rotating this geodesic to put C on the line between A and D, right? And when doing that, if I look at this geodesic, when moving C to C1, I decrease the angle at D between B and C. But decreasing the angle decreases the distance. So doing that, what I get is that the angle at D between B and C1 is less than the angle at D between B and C. And this implies that the distance between B and C1 is less than the distance between B and C, right? And I have a new triangle, A, B, C1, and I want to compare this triangle with A tilde, B tilde, C tilde. So they have the same length, because A tilde, C tilde is equal to AC1. So I have that the distance between A tilde, C tilde is equal to the distance between A and C1. And I have that the distance between A tilde, B tilde is equal to the distance between A and B. So I am still in the setting of the easy lemma. And what I get is that the distance between B and C1 is less than the distance between B and C. So if I want to retrieve the distance between B tilde and C tilde, here I have to increase the distance between B and C, and increasing the distance increase the angle. Okay. So this implies, all this implies that the angle alpha tilde is greater than or equal to the angle alpha. So here I have alpha tilde, and here I have alpha. Okay, for the angle gamma, it's exactly the same, but you have to move A on the line between C and D and make the same computations on the other side. And for the distance between B and D, it is just consider the triangle A, B, and D. And I have that alpha tilde is greater than alpha. So when I increase alpha, I increase the distance between B and D. And so the distance between B tilde and D tilde is greater than the distance between B and D. And I get the last inequality. And now if I have equality in some of these inequalities, it just means that because it is strictly increasing, so it just means that there is something that I didn't move. For example, if alpha tilde is equal to alpha, this means that the distance between B and C1 is equal to the distance between B and C. I didn't move the point C to C1. And so this means that D was already on the line between A and C. And I was already in this situation. So everything is fixed and nothing moved. Right. So this is Alexandrov's lemma. Now I can give the statement. And so the equivalent formulations for the Katka property. I take a geodesic space XD, some K in R, and I have so the following are equivalent. So the first point is that XD is cat K. The second is the one you saw this morning with Thomas Richard. So for all triangle, so delta with vertices X, Y, Z, and all points, say P on the geodesic between Y and Z. So I take the comparison triangle in points with comparison triangle Y X bar, Y bar, Z bar, and comparison point T bar. We have that the distance between X and P is less than or equal to the distance between X bar and P bar. So the picture is the following. I have X, Y, Z, and some P on the geodesic between Y and Z. And I have the comparison triangle, X bar, Y bar, Z bar, with comparison point P bar. And I compare the distance between X and P, X bar and P bar, and the distance between X and P. And the distance is less in X than in the model space. So it's like the kind of specialization of the Katka property, where one of these 2 points is a vertex triangle. So the second property is this one. The third property comes to the angles. So for all triangle, X, Y, Z.
Wait a second, there's a question in the chat. Do we assume that the diameter X, Y, and Z is bounded by dk in the first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Parameter by 2dk.
By
This
2D.
is the condition you have to add each time to ensure that you can build the comparison triangle. Right? So when
diameter
k
is bounded by 2dk.
2dk, the perimeter of the triangle is bounded above by 2dk, right? And when k is positive, always add this this condition. So for all triangle, okay, right. Of vertices x, y, z, all p on the geodesic between x and y, and q on the geodesic between x and z. And I'm considering two comparison triangles. So the triangle XYZ is compared with some triangle X bar, Y bar, and Z bar. And I'm also comparing the triangle XPQ, and it is comparing to X bar, P bar, and say R bar. So we make the picture before stating the property. So here I have my triangle X, Y, Z with some point P and Q, and I'm looking at the comparison triangle X bar, Y bar, and Z bar with comparison points P bar and Q bar. So this is the first comparison. And then I'm looking at the second comparison triangle, which is the comparison triangle for X, P, and Q. And for the first geodesic, I can take X bar, P bar. And then the distance between P bar and Q bar is different a priori than the distance between P and Q. So I have to put another point, R bar, right? And the result is that I made a good picture. So in this setting, what I get is that the angle at X bar between P bar and R bar is less than the angle at X bar between Y bar and Z bar, right? So this means that when I'm starting from Y and Z and I'm taking point and this point are going to X, the angle of the comparison triangle is decreasing, right? And the consequence of that is that since it is decreasing, it has a limit. And it could be that the Alexandrov angle at X exists as a strong limit and not as a supremum limit, like it is defined in the general case.
So there is a question, does something like that works for locally cat space?
So locally cat, when you have a space which is locally cat k, this means that every point has a neighborhood which is cat k. So in this neighborhood, you can do everything which is true for the spaces. It's true for a well-chosen neighborhood
with the induced distance.
Well, if you take a smaller neighborhood, the induced distance is in fact the length distance. Okay. So it doesn't matter. If you take the length distance or the induced distance, if you take a small neighborhood, a neighborhood which is small enough, then the distance will be the same. Right. Okay, and then I have two other equivalent formulations.
And another question, local and global cat K spaces are the same, right?
No.
Okay.
In particular, when K is non-positive, a cat K space is simply connected, and a local cat K space just locally simply connected. So, for example, it may have.
So someone sent the example of a surface.
Yes, if you take a surface of genus 2 with a hyperbolic metric, it's a cat-1 place, but it's not a. It is a space of curvature less than -1, but it is not a cat-1 space. Good. Yes.
What you said just before, you mean that Kafka space, local Kafka space is locally convex.
Well, so the fourth property is just about the angles, the Alexandrov angles of the triangle. So for all triangles, so with comparing triangles with vertices x bar, y bar, and z bar, the Alexandrov angles at x, y, and z are less than or equal to the angles at x bar, y bar, and z bar. Right? And the last formulation is about the hinge property.
Another question, are there obvious inclusions between different Kafka spaces?
It will come later.
This is the best answer.
Yeah, we will see that if K2 is less than K1 and X is K2, cat K2, then it is cat K1. But it will come later. So for all triangles, delta X, Y, Z, so I have to, I'm not taking exactly the comparison triangle. I will build another triangle. So I will label it differently. So the triangle delta of, let's say, X tilde, Y tilde, and Z tilde, which is such that the distance between X tilde and Y tilde is equal to the distance between X and Y. The distance between X tilde and Z tilde is equal to the distance between X and Z. And the angle at X tilde of Y tilde and Z tilde is equal to the angle at X between Y, and Z. Okay. What I get is this. And in fact, I'm not really looking at the triangle, but rather at the hinge. So I have X, Y, Z, and with an angle alpha. And in M2K, I'm looking at X tilde, angle alpha, Y tilde, and Z tilde, right? And with the same length. H. So in this setting, I have that the distance between Y and Z is greater than or equal to the distance between Y tilde and Z tilde. Right. Now my notes. Okay, so these 5 formulations are equivalent. So the last 4 formulations are equivalent to the Kafka, to the definition of Kafka spaces. So there are some obvious implications. So the most obvious one is that 1 implies 2, because 2 is just a specialization of 1. What is easy to see is that 1 is equivalent to 3. And it is just because if 1 is true, what you get is that the distance between P and Q is less than the distance between P bar and Q bar. And so to get from P bar Q bar to P bar R bar, you have to lower to decrease the distance, and you are in the model space. So when decreasing the distance, you decrease the angle, and so you get the inequality between the angle. And you can just do the reverse. If you start from P bar R bar, whose distance is equal to distance between P and Q, and you want to go to P bar Q bar, you have to increase the angle. And when increasing the angle, you increase the distance. And therefore, the distance between P bar and Q bar is greater than the distance between P and Q. And this is precisely the definition of the Katka property. Right. So 1 is equivalent to 3. What is quite obvious also is that 3 implies 4. Okay, right. It's just because, so it's what I said just after writing the formulation, the third formulation. If you look at the Alexandrov angle at x, then you get it when looking at the angle between P and Q and letting P and Q tending to x. And what we just said is that this angle is decreasing. And okay, the observation, but perhaps you didn't say that. When you look at the Alexandrov angle, you use comparison triangle in the Euclidean space. And here we have a comparison triangle, which is not in the Euclidean space, but in the sphere on the hyperbolic space. But it doesn't matter because Riemannian manifolds like sphere and hyperbolic space are locally Euclidean. And when you let P bar and Q bar, P and Q go to X, you are looking at a triangle which are in the neighborhood of X, which are smaller and smaller. And because so this triangle tends to Euclidean triangles, and the distance are equivalent as in as the distance of in the Euclidean case. So you can define the Alexandrov angle using comparison triangle in model spaces, not necessarily in the constant curvature spaces. And so if you have 3, just remarking that the angle are decreasing at the limits that you get that the Alexandrov angle at X is less than the Alexandrov angle at X bar. So 3 implies 4, and the last thing which is quite obvious is that 4 is equivalent to 5, and this is just because so to see that 4 is equivalent to 5, you have to consider your triangle X, Y, Z, and you look at the comparison triangle. So X bar, Y bar, and Z bar. And so if you assume that here, so here you have an angle alpha and an angle alpha bar. If you assume 4, then alpha bar is less than alpha. And to construct the hinge, you have to increase alpha bar to alpha. And increasing alpha bar to alpha, you increase alpha is less than alpha bar. And so to construct your hinge, you have to decrease alpha bar to alpha. And when decreasing alpha bar, you decrease the distance between Y bar and Z bar. And so, you get that the final distance is less than in X, right? And then starting from the hinge, you have to increase alpha to get the comparison triangle. And then you get the inequality of the angles. Okay, so this is quite easy to prove. And so the last thing what we have to prove is that I don't remember which one I decided to prove. We have to prove that 2 implies 3 and that 4 implies 2 would be enough. I can take 5 minutes to drink a bit.
Yeah, okay, we make a 5-minute break. Juste quelqu'un m'a demandé pourquoi on a invité d'art qui s'entendent du bruit. Voilà, ça trouve assez souvent. Ouais.
C'est simple, c'est parce que c'est prendre les mains. Parfois, c'est prendre les mains.
Peut-être. C'est quand on prend juste deux trucs, on oublie le troisième côté, on appelle ça le hinge, une charnière.
Une charnière, ouais. Il y a
Des fois, on appelle le hinge condition.
ce truc-là, il est utilisé pour montrer le théorème de Cauchy et l'utilité des lièvres. Et ça repose sur. Je ne me souviens plus de la preuve exactement, mais je suis sûr qu'il y a un truc qui s'appelle The Arm Lemma.
Mais alors, le rigidité de.
Le théorème de Cauchy pour le poignet.
Alors après, ça va être avec l'inégalité inverse parce que c'est plutôt un phénomène de cover positif, la rigidité des polyèdres.
Alors,
Ouais.
je me souviens que c'est exactement dire quand tu grandis l'angle d'un inch, la distance entre les deux grands.
C'est possible. Après, moi, je ne suis pas spécialiste de des
un
espaces
autre-
4K. Ah, c'est quelque chose que j'ai. Et pour ton truc local,
Alors, comment tu montres que c'est localement?
et tu prends une petite boule et tu regardes toujours la distance de longueur. Alors, si jamais entre deux points ici, la géodésique, elle faisait ça, quand tu restes dans la boule, ta nouvelle géodésique, elle fait ça. Okay, et ce qui se passe, c'est que si je prends une petite boule ici qui a un rayon R sur 10 et que tu prends deux points ici, c'est sûr que ta géodésique ne va pas sortir pour revenir parce que ça, c'est beaucoup trop pénalisant. Donc, quand tu prends deux points dans la petite boule, la géodésique, c'est la même que dans l'espace. Okay, donc, quitte à réduire un peu tes rayons de boule, à jouer entre des boules de rayon R sur 10, tu arrives à tout faire. C'est ça le. Il faut réfléchir un petit peu, mais. J'ai l'habitude de couper les rayons en morceaux. C'est tout d'abord 4. En R sur 100, c'est quand même step up.
Donc là, tu vas démontrer le.
Je vais montrer que 2, 1, 3, que 4, 5. Et après, j'aimerais démontrer que.
Ça dépend combien de temps ça dure, mais il n'y aura peut-être pas beaucoup d'après.
Hein?
Il n'y aura peut-être pas beaucoup d'après.
Ouais, non, c'est assez rapide. C'est
ok.
les dessins. Et après, je vais peut-être démontrer que les stades vectoriels normés sur 4K, 6 et 6 sont gagnés.
Un peu tout le monde rentre et. Ouais, il y a une réserve. Si tu veux avoir le temps de finir, peut-être.
Ah ouais.
Okay, so we start for the last round of this lecture. So which order would you be using? This one.
I will this one.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we have proved two missing implications. That it is that 2 implies 3 and that 4 implies 2. And I erased 2. So 2
Okay.
was just the 4K condition, but assuming that one of the 2 comparison points is a vertex of the triangle.
And 3 is here, so I'll show 3.
And 3 is here, and I won't erase 3.
I'll show this. Okay.
Okay. So 2 implies 3. So I'm taking a triangle X, Y, Z, and in order to prove 3, I have to take 2 points P and Q, and then I will construct several triangles. So first, I will take the comparison triangle for X, Y, Z. So D delta X, Y, Z, it has a comparison triangle X bar, Y bar, and Z bar. And I will make a grid picture. And then I will consider the triangle XP PZ. And so the triangle XPZ, we have a comparison triangle. And I can assume that it's X bar, P bar, and I will keep my notation because. And I took Z tilde. So I have P has a comparison point P bar, and then I take a comparison triangle, which is X bar, P bar, and Z tilde. And I will construct last comparison triangle, which is the one I am interested in. That is the comparison triangle for X, P, and Q. And so the comparison triangle for, we write it here, the comparison triangle for X, P, and Q will be delta X bar, P bar, and I choose R bar. And so here I have the distance, and I will get something like that. And here I have the point Q bar. And in the second triangle, where I have the comparison triangle for X, P, and Z, I have the point Q, and this point Q has a comparison point. I will label it Q tilde. Okay. So here I have also that P goes on P bar, Q goes on Q bar, and here I have Q goes on Q tilde. All right. And now I can use the point 2, and the point 2 in the triangle XYZ is that the distance between P and Z is less than the distance between P bar and Z bar. Okay. So I have the distance between P and Z is less than the distance between P bar and Z bar. And so when moving Z bar to Z tilde, I preserve the length but of XP bar and XZ bar, but I decrease the distance because the distance between B bar and Z tilde is equal to the distance between P and Z. So when decreasing the distance, I decrease the angle. So this implies that the angle at X, at X bar between Y bar and Z bar is less than the angle at X bar between P bar and Z tilde, right? C'est contraire, yes. Right, and then I do it again. What I get is that the distance between P and Q is less than the distance because I am using the second point in the triangle X, P, and Z. And I have P, which is the vertex of the triangle, and I have Q, which is on the opposite side. And so what I get is that the distance between P and Q is less than the distance between P bar and Q tilde, which is a comparison point for Q in the blue triangle. Okay. So
It would be nice if you could write everything on the same row.
yes, but I have to erase the second the thing I
I mean, on this one. No.
on this one.
Will it fit?
Okay, so I will move this.
Thank you.
So this is X P Q triangle X bar, P bar, R bar. So I'm using the second property applied to the triangle X, P, and Z, and I have that the distance between P and Q, which is less than the distance between P bar and Q tilde. And this implies that the angle at X bar between P bar and Q tilde, the distance is greater, the angle is greater than the distance, than the angle in X bar between P bar and R bar, right? And now I have the two inequalities, which imply that the distance at X bar between Y bar and z bar is greater than the angle at x bar between p bar and r bar. And it is precisely what I want to do. So this is what it was for the 2 implies 3. And then I will prove that 4 implies 2. And so I will raise this.
Maybe I show 4.
I didn't get the last conclusion.
The last conclusion is that we have this inequality,
Yeah.
and the angle at x bar between p bar and z tilde is also greater than this one. So this one is less than this one. Right?
Okay.
So I assume that
Yeah, for the first inequality, you use that.
the easy lemma. I always use the easy lemma. So I use that the second property is satisfied by the triangle x, y, and z, and therefore the distance between z and p is less than the distance between p bar and z bar.
I agree.
Okay, and here the distance between x bar and z bar is the same as the distance between x bar and z tilde.
Ah, yes.
And so I'm just moving, but shortening the distance.
No, okay.
And so I have to shorten the angle.
Go to the right, but because of this close distance.
Right. So I want to prove 2. So I'm taking a triangle x, y, and z. Okay, voilà. And I'm taking a point P on the geodesic between x, y, and z. And I will construct 2 comparison triangles. The first is for x, y, p. So it is a triangle which is x bar, y bar, and p bar. And then I'm constructing a second triangle, comparison triangle for x, p, z, which will be the triangle with vertices x bar, p bar, and z bar. And so the picture is the following. So x bar, the first, y bar, and p bar. And then I'm constructing the second one. X bar, p bar. Oh, sorry, I will use a tilde because they are not the final one. And here you get the picture of the Alexander lemma, so you can be sure that we will use it. And the first observation is that if I look at this geodesic, here I have 2 angles, alpha 1 and alpha 2. And what I know is that the angle at P, which is equal to P to pi, because I am on the geodesic line, is less than the sum is cut in 2 parts. So it is less than the sum of the 2 angles, alpha 1 and alpha 2. This is a triangle inequality for angles, right? Yeah, I have a full angle which is equal to pi, and it is less than the sum of the 2 subangles. So you can, Gerard told me that he didn't prove that if you take a geodesic with 1 point, then the full angle here is equal to pi. And you can prove it. It's really easy with the definitions of the Alexandrov angle. And you just have that the comparison triangle is degenerated, and so the angle must be pi. Okay, so this one, and then if I'm looking here at the 2 angles in the comparison triangle, because I know that 4 is satisfied, I assume that 4 is satisfied, the angle in the triangle here are less than the angle in the comparison triangle. So this is less than alpha 1 tilde plus alpha 2 tilde. Okay, so this is exactly the hypothesis of Alexandrov lemma, and then I can apply Alexandrov lemma. And doing this, I'm constructing a triangle. I will label it X bar, Y bar, and Z bar. And the lengths of the edges of this triangle are exactly the same as the triangle from the beginning, because here the distance between Y tilde and P tilde is the distance between Y and P, and the distance between P tilde and Z tilde is the distance between P and Z. Right, so I have here this, this, and this, and here I have some P bar with the distance which are the same. And what says, what does Alexandrov lemma gives? It tells me that because here the angle is greater than pi, when I flatten this angle, I increase the distance. So this lemma implies that the distance between X bar and P bar is greater than the distance between X tilde and P tilde, which is exactly the distance between X and P, and this is true. So we have this all this equivalent formulation.
Beaucoup de triangles.
Yes, geometry is triangles, like in the antique times. So now in the last 10 minutes, I will take a first consequence of these properties, and in fact on the third properties, and I will speak a little bit of angles and what is sometimes called strong angles. So it is a corollary of these results, and that's if sorry. So I take a 4K space, and I take gamma and sigma geodesics emanating from some point X. And then what I get is that the angle at X between gamma and sigma is not only a supremum limit, but it is a true limit as epsilon tends to 0 of the, or at t tends to 0 of the Alexandrov angle at X between gamma and t and sigma of t. Okay, and how this is a angle in the, this is the limit of the angle of the comparison triangle. You use this notation or some notation with a bar or with a?
No, I use this notation for the limit.
For the limit.
Without bar.
This is not an Alexandrov angle. This is an angle in the model space.
Ah, so I use bar.
Okay, it is a true limit. It is not a supremum limit. And the proof, well, we won't make the detail. It is just because so you can use angles in M2K instead of angles in R2 to get the definite the Alexandrov angle. And if you look at the angles in the M2K, the third point implies that T this function, the angle at X between gamma nt and sigma s is decreasing. And the same for the these two are decreasing. And so if you look,
So this one are angles in the model space.
yes.
So you should.
So for us, so the notation in the book by Britson and Fliger is to put a k, some k here. It's a bit not very simple. The notation are not very simple, but okay. Okay, and so if you take the supremum over all s and t less than epsilon of this angle at x between gamma of t and sigma of s, this is just the angle at x between gamma of epsilon and sigma of epsilon. And then you have to take the limits as epsilon goes to 0. And so you can take the limits. So it is k as epsilon goes to 0. So this is in k. And the point is that this is exactly the Alexander angle between gamma and sigma. And this is, you can take the limit in the model space M2K or in R2. So this is also the limit as epsilon goes to 0 of the comparing angle, gamma epsilon and sigma epsilon. So, and the consequence of this, so we start here because I need space, is that we can characterize the normed vector spaces, which are in fact cat k for some k.
So the question by one, you can also get a limit on t and t prime. I define with t and t prime. And,
Yes.
And the answer is yes, of course.
Yes. So the core I. So a normed vector space is cat k for some k. If and only if it is pre-Hilbertian. In fact, if you have if your normed vector space is cat k, then you have a strong notion of angle. You must have the notion of angle, and we know that the notion of angle when you have a norm comes from the fact that your norm is associated to a scalar product, and this is true. And so I have 2 minutes for the proof, so I will perhaps I will just give the grid lines of the proof. What can I speak? So what is obvious is that if the vector space is pre-Hilbertian, so the norm comes from a scalar product, then if you take a triangle, it is in a 2-dimensional affine subspace, which is isometric to R2, and so it must be K0. The triangle is its own comparison triangle in this 2-dimensional affine subspace, so it is K0. And for the converse statement, perhaps it's better. Can I take 5 minutes more? Or
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I will take 2 vector u and v, and you look. I'm looking at the u and v, and we're looking at the hinge from the origin. And here I have 2 geodesic. Gamma of t is equal to tu, and sigma of t Chi is equal to TV. And I know that I have a strong angle. So I have an angle at 0 between U and V, which is in fact the limit. And okay, I can write it this way. The limit as S goes to 0 of the comparison angle between gamma of S T1 and sigma of S T2. Right. Okay. So, and now I'm looking at the comparison angle in R2, and so I can use the law of cosine. And when I'm using the law of cosine here, what I get is that this angle between gamma of ST1 and sigma of ST2 is equal to, so the distance between these two, so the norm of ST1 U minus ST2V square, the law of cosine is with minus here, plus the norm of ST1U square plus the norm of ST2V square over twice the norm of ST1U and ST2V. And what is clear is that everything is only quadratic in S, and so this doesn't become an S, right? And so what I get here is that this is independent of S. So what I get is that the angle between U and V is something that I can write just like that. So it is T1U does not depend on S. No, sorry. I want to write it. So this is a cosine here. Yes, I can write it like that. So it is 1U square plus T2V square minus T1U minus T2V square over 1U and T2V. Right. And then I will write this in a parallelogram. So now I take U, V, U plus V, and I will look at this triangle. And I will use that this angle is given by the angle between U and U plus V, but it is also the angle between U and U plus V over 2. Okay, and then with this, I can write this angle with this formula for these two situations. And when you can make the computation, and when you say that these two writing are the same, what you get is exactly the law of parallelogram. And so what you get is that the norm of A plus V square plus the norm of A minus V square is equal to twice the norm of U square plus the norm of V square. Okay, so this is the law of parallelogram. And the law of parallelogram is satisfied only by the norm which comes from the scalar product. Okay, so this implies that V is that. So what is interesting here is that we have a definition of a Katka space which only depends on the distance, but which says a lot of things on the angles. And I will stop here for today.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. It's warm, isn't it?
Yes, it's warm.
So are there any other questions online or in the room? So maybe I have one. I mean, when you we never ask the space to be locally compact, for example,
No,
proper as
no.
the denomination that Gilles used. So the norm space could be infinite dimension.
Yes, yes. And,
Okay, so if there are no other questions, we have to go and drink some water here because it's very warm. So thank you very much, everybody.
J'arrête là.